feeling stuck inside, needing to rock? Feed your soul at the air drum party.
You know you're an air drummer. Come out of the closet. I did.
I find myself sitting there and air drumming along to all my favorite records.
Totally relates to the air drumming thing. I would make these wonderful drum sets out of magazines and then beat the covers on.
Right now, Adventures of Power, the cult movie about air drumming, is teaming up to raise money for musicians in need and to rock your pants off.
Music is not about having arms. Music is about having spirit.
With a free online watch party where you can chat with the cast, comedians, and celebrity drummers. Who knows who might stop by? Save the world. Feel the rock. Be the power. Come to airdrummer.com.
We want to see you
rock.
You can do it.
Do it. Do it! Come on! Do it now!
Welcome, folks. My name is Ari Gold. I am the director of the film Adventures of Power, featuring Neil Peart, and I'm the Guinness World Record holder for air drumming. With me is the lovely John Humphrey from Seether, and then my brother Ethangold is representing Modern Drummer today. He did all of the music for Adventures of Power, the drum tracks, the producing, and he's a producer and composer and drum aficionado. So thank you both for joining this experience.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to meet both you guys.
And you as well. The focus is going to be you, John, because you are the star of our hearts on this fine afternoon. No. You're in, where are you? Central time somewhere?
Yeah, I'm Central Time Zone. I'm in Oklahoma. I live just outside Oklahoma City.
And you're from Oklahoma, right?
I am, yes, born and raised, and I have two boys, and they've been raised here, so this is home for me.
Oh, nice. Be honest. Did you get into drums through rock or through singing Oklahoma? Be honest.
Through rock. It was rock, man.
It was rock. So I have my brother suggested a very important question for an air drum themed conversation as a conversation starter, which is, what is the song that you air drum to as a child before you played drums, and then now when you don't have access to your drums? So it might be two different songs.
Really, it's ironic, and I saw the trailer for your movie. It was Tom Sawyer. I mean, when I first got my kit, I had to learn, that bridge section, that middle part, to actually play it live. But I was air drumming the crap out of that thing when I was 12 and 13 years old. And I still, when it comes on the radio, of course, I air drum to everything. My parents, my wife can attest to me driving them crazy in the car. I air drum in my car, as well as play them, actually. I'm an air drum king, and I have been since I was a kid.
Well, at least that wouldn't keep them up at night if you were air drumming in the middle of the night while your wife is sleeping.
That's true. Wouldn't bother them that. Yeah. I air drum, and I actually do tap and make all kinds of noise with my feet and my hands and all the time.
You'll be pleased to know that Neil Peart, in appearing in the air drum movie, but he also told me that he, like all of us, was an air drummer first. Yeah. And he told me that he started with pillows and magazines. So I guess it's a little bit more than air. He was hitting something. Maybe that's why he became Neil Peart. But yeah, so you're in good company. Tom Sawyer is the climactic song in Adventures of Power, so I hope you get a chance to watch it. But so you were, I guess, you started as a true musician, though. You could read music. I can't read music, but you can read music. Rumor has it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So in middle school, I was in band. I was in jazz band, concert band, marching band all through high school. I played snare, usually in those cases, and jazz band, of course, I played the kit. And so it's been a long time since I've actually, read charts.
Which grip did you learn snare? Which grip?
Oh, matched.
Okay.
Yeah, not traditional. I've never really played traditional. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And did you know that you wanted to play rock music when you were playing jazz in high school? Or you were talking about junior high or high school? Where?
Yeah, it was kind of both. Middle school, junior high, and then high school. really drums and learning, you know, getting into rock music, it all happened at the same time. You know, I'm an 80s kid. So my mom could appreciate that I loved music and showed an interest for it as a very little kid, like 4 or 5. I had a little portable record player I used to carry around and listen to music and all the time. I just loved it. And so she, you know, trying to figure out maybe where I should go, she got me piano lessons for a few years, and I got some basic theory, music theory out of that. But being a little kid of the late 70s and 80s, you know, I got into Kiss as a kid, and then
Did you ever dress in?
Oh yeah, man. I did it. Halloween. I remember seeing the movie on TV, and I mean, being a kid, being 7 or 8, and then that band and its fantasy, you know, was just a combination of the perfect worlds, right? Rock music and fantasy for a kid. But that segued into Van Halen then, and AC/DC and that whole era. So I'm like taking piano, and I'm like, I'm not interested in this, man. I want to rock, and drums sort of came naturally.
Did you ever see Kiss when they played with Rush?
No. I've seen old, you know, bills and posters for. I can't imagine, that would be amazing. I've seen some photos online too.
It's such a strange matchup. I mean, just knowing that they toured together and they apparently loved each other. It's such different. Yeah, but
completely different bands, and to see them, they're so young and stuff. But it's so cool. Yeah, they like one of the first tours for both bands. I think they toured together. Yeah,
and so you got into hard rock through the gateway drug of Kiss.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good way of putting it.
You were like a Beatles type before Kiss came along, or what was your jam?
Yeah, I was just, you know, I grew up on the radio. My parents always had music on and radio, so anything top 40 of the day and popular music, I just always heard. So yeah, Beatles. I mean. Yeah, anything that was just sort of popular on radio at the time. But then for my age, my friends, it was rock, it was hard rock, and I got into Van Halen, AC/DC, and that whole thing.
I mean, crazy. You've been on tour with Seether, with Sabbath, right?
Yeah, we did a Hellfest overseas, huge festival. 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, that was amazing. It was Soundgarden was on the bill, and Black Sabbath was on the bill, and that was just like a dream come true. A friend of mine is a bass tech for Geezer Butler, so the coolest thing I got to do was to hand Geezer his bass right before one of his songs, because I stood next to my tech buddy. That was
was Bill Ward on that tour?
No, a different drummer, the drummer who's playing with Ozzy now. Tommy, I can't remember, what's his last name? I can't remember his last name, but no, unfortunately, it wasn't Bill.
Since Ethan's representing modern drummer, he should know that in a flash.
I should know that. What? Yeah, I know that Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine also played with Sabbath on their last record. But I'll do some recon here.
So, John, I'd love to know, you know, because there's drum fans, and you know, what brought you to drums? Why are you in the drum fraternity or the drum cult? Like, why that and not guitar if you were turned on?
Well, right.
Tommy Clufedos.
Yes, Clufedos. Right. That's right. And Brad Wilk, interesting side story. We toured with Audioslave. Seether toured with Audioslave, and I got to know Brad, and he's a huge old school Van Halen fan, so we sort of clicked on that. And I had some bootlegs of old Van Halen shows and stuff. So Brad's awesome, great drummer and great guy. But for me, so back to piano early on, and then I tried guitar, not electric guitar. It was like acoustic guitar my parents got me. But drums, I just wanted to try it. I actually had a neighbor in the neighborhood, a friend who had a kit. And I think I drove him crazy for about a year and a half after school every day, going to his house, asking if I could play his drums. So I was on his kit and every day after school, drove him nuts. I was begging my parents for a drum set because I had played piano, I played guitar. These are not inexpensive items. I mean, you know, instruments are expensive, and my parents are like, look, we've done you a piano, we've done a guitar, you're not doing a drum. So they put me through a year and a half of agony. I drove my friend crazy. They finally relented. My dad, Christmas 1983, got me my first drum set.
What was the relenting about? I mean, like, you have to prove something. Was there a specific hoop you had to jump through to prove that you were serious?
Yeah, so I had auditioned for junior high band, and I was playing percussion there, but all I had at home was like a snare pad and a set of bells, because you would play bells also early on in percussion, auxiliary percussion and stuff. And I was in band and doing that and practicing and air drumming, but had a set pair of sticks and practicing in my room, playing on pillows, playing on the floor. And like I said, if I wasn't doing that, I was over at my friend's house driving him crazy. So my dad finally figured out, okay, maybe he's going to stick with this, and got me a drum set.
You want to give a shout out to your friend right now? What's the name of that?
Yeah, it's been a long time. His name's Barry Bell. I don't know if he'll be watching, but yeah, he was a childhood friend. He had a drum set. I drove him crazy.
It's always nice to shout out to the friends or the teachers or somebody who helped us along the way.
Sure.
And actually, somebody asked me somebody suggested that you give that shout out. So I thought that was a good idea.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah.
So what's more challenging as a drummer, playing in Nixon or playing in Seether?
Gosh, they're both, stylistically, for me, it's the same. It's still the way I play. It's just sort of the way the music sort of comes through me as far as stylistically. So really there isn't much difference other than obviously the music and the arrangement and in particular songs, but stylistically I sort of play the same way with both bands.
Did you get the Seether work directly, or
what's that?
The Nixons, just one thing I was just thinking about, you're coming into all this through band music and through Kiss and these kind of like really energy giving kinds of music, and both the Nixons and Seether are, I would say, more like kind of angsty in different ways, kind of angsty and emotional music. But it's interesting, like as a drummer, so the writing, whatever's going on, and the songwriting and the lyrics, there's this kind of dark expression of kind of emotions coming out, but you're there bringing this kind of, in both those bands, you're bringing like a kind of really solid power to it. I think that's probably why they both want you, even if you're splitting your time or whatever, I'm not sure how you work that out, if everybody wants to tour at the same time, we can talk about that, but you bring a really solid, just a kind of like a very kind of straightforward, solid, like it makes me think of, in a way, like you think of Oklahoma, but it's just like you're there to like provide the foundation in a way that, and like Kiss have that same just like straight, like they sort of goofy, almost bubblegum songs, but there's this like straight. AC/DC also famously just like solid, and you're also that kind of a just real powerful just container for, in the case of, if you were playing in Kiss, that would be the container for the like powerful bubblegum or whatever, but you're bringing like, you're just like, it's like the house that all this kind of like angst and emotion can live in. You're like the bones of the house. I don't know if that's
appreciate
a conscious thing that you do, like with the guys coming in, like, I got all this stuff I need to express, and you're just going to hold it down for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, my job as a drummer is to really, to be the foundation, to be, to be solid, to do my job sort of in that sense. But I do, there's an aggressiveness to both the music that it's a visceral thing, it's a physical thing. And boy, having not been on tour for, a year and a half, I feel angst, I do practice at home, and both my kids are also in music. My oldest is a drummer, and it's very inspiring to me, even on a daily basis, to go in there and woodshed. But it's something that it's a release for me, and I get that through, playing with both bands musically. It's definitely an emotional release. But thank you. I do try to be a solid, foundation to support the music, to play for the music. I mean, obviously we talked about rock, but as it went on, and I've always liked powerful drummers that just had a style to them, like Cozy Powell or Liberty DeVito. He played for Billy Joel. He just was an amazing, powerful drummer with with very tasteful parts, and were musical, and he framed the songs, because both the bands I play with, I mean, well, in all bands, I guess, generally it's about supporting the music and letting the melody kind of reign through, and you want to be the solid foundation, and at least that's what I try to be,
Well, but it's not every drummer has that philosophy. So I think Ethan's right to bring up that comparison.
But it's interesting. I mean, I hear it with your growing up with Kiss and AC/DC. You mentioned those are like kind of like your first, and I hear that in your playing, even though the bands are much more like kind of bloody, sort of emotional type bands.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's one thing I'm curious about, just as a working musician, how you negotiate if you're an active member of multiple bands. Like, does that become a thing where they can't tour, or do they have like a understudy, who, when you're like, I'm sorry, how do you work that out, like politically, between the Nixons and Seether?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because before the pandemic, Seether would be coming off a tour, and then, the Nixons would maybe do a few shows, and the Nixons didn't play for like, 12 or 15 years. I mean, a long time. The band we went, our separate ways, and then reunited in 2017. It's only, the last 3 or 4 years been trying to sort of balance it out. So you mentioned understudy. My 21-year-old son, Jackson, amazing drummer, he'll fill in for the Nixons when there's a conflict in the schedule.
If it worked for Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, it's funny.
That's got to be just a beautiful thing for you as a musician and as a father. That's be really gratifying.
Absolutely. And the first time he did it, he was 15. He had only been playing maybe 2 years, and he got up at a huge outdoor amphitheater here in Oklahoma City to do the last song of the set. Seether always typically closes the show with a song called Remedy. And I told Jackson to learn it, and you're going to get up and play it with the band. And he did, in front of 10,000 people, and he killed it like he had been doing it his whole life. And I've got my buddies are there. We're all grown men crying, and this sort of experience just watching my kid up there playing. But then now here it's become a situation where, Seether's going to go back on tour, and Nixon's have some shows, and Jackson's already filled in on a couple, and he will fill in on a couple more this year. And it works out, and we keep it in the family, literally. You know?
Beautiful.
That's very medieval of you.
There's a fan named Melissa who's asked, "What's your favorite Seether song? What Sean Dale, you song that you just love playing every time it starts? You're psyched."
Well, yeah, to start the show, it's a song for a long time that started the set. It's the first song on the first album. It's called Gasoline, and for the longest time, it was the song that sort of set the barometer for the night. And it's a fun song for me. The first album, it's off disclaimer, it was the first album. Josh Freese was a studio drummer on that album. I joined after that album and have been with him ever since. So I have sort of this unique outside perspective of, I'm a fan of that album. I had to learn that, or I chose to learn that entire album for my audition. And I'm just a fan of that album. And it's a different experience since I'm not the one who actually recorded it. So Gasoline's always a fun one for me live. It's always been like a set the tone for the show, and
you feel like
one of the. But yeah,
because you weren't on the recording.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't try to overplay and like do a bunch of crap that wasn't there to begin with. Or
being the guy to get Josh Freese parts, that's a good position to be in. For those of you listening, he's like, he's one of this generation. He's like one of the studio kind of go-to guys.
Yeah, man, he's like our generation's Hal Blaine or something.
He's exactly. He plays with Devo now, I think, fairly consistently.
Right.
But he's like on he's on many records you've heard that you don't even know. He's one of those guys.
Just incredible and solid, tasteful drummer, and we've crossed paths a few times over the years. And great guy, just a killer drummer. So yes, I mean, just to be able to try to replicate those parts and to have learned that album for my audition, even going all the way back, it was amazing. And yeah, Josh did a killer job. A new song on the new album is called Wasteland, is one I'll be looking forward to playing live. We haven't played it live yet. It's just a song on the new album that it's like probably my favorite song right now. And I've been practicing it and just kind of getting ready and imagining what it's going to be like to be on stage and finally play some of these songs in this case, Wasteland, for the first time, in front of a crowd.
And you have a new drum sponsor now, right? Like Brand.
Yeah. Yes, I'm with just joined WFL3, which is Bill Ludwig's company, William F. Ludwig III, and he personally contacted me and asked me. I'd been with Ludwig for years, and anybody who's sort of familiar with Ludwig, they were, the family was bought out years ago and bought the name, and so Bill started a company several years back in WFL3, and he invited me to join the company. He's so amazing, such a great guy. I'm really excited. So I tell everybody.
William, because owns his actual Bill name now.
Right, because I know him as Bill. I call him Bill. He
probably has a non-compete.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Right. Couldn't use Ludwig. Yeah, exactly.
But so that's are you playing those drums on the new record?
Actually, I joined him after we had recorded the album. So so yeah, I'd used my Ludwigs and some different. I have a bell brass snare I used for the last two albums. Just sort of my buddy. It's actually my buddy's bell brass snare. The thing weighs a ton, and he's in Kansas City, and he'll either drive down and give it to me, and I'll fly to Nashville, or drive to Nashville with it. And it's a snare drum I've used on the last two albums. It's just a gunshot. It's an awesome snare. Nice. But we kind of have different things in the studio that we use that, for sonic reasons. But the WFL stuff it's amazing. Sounds great. I'll be looking forward to tracking with that kit next time,
Yeah.
Are there any songs that from the catalog that scare you, that you're like, this one's always a challenge for me to get through? Do you have things that get your nerves up like that?
Well, I think it's going back to Disclaimer. It'll be the 20th anniversary of Disclaimer next year, later this year, next year.
Disclaimer 1, yeah.
Disclaimer, which again is Josh Freese. So we were talking about maybe playing that album in its entirety. We haven't decided, in what capacity that will be, if we do a live stream or maybe a show or something. But there's a song on the album I had to learn when I did my audition. It was actually the first song I did with the band. It's called Pride. And it's a song that changes time signatures. It goes from a 3/4 thing back to a 4/4, 3/4, 4/4. It's a genius part. It's a great part. And Sean played the riff when I walked in the room. We had barely shook hands and introduced, and I think he had already auditioned 3 or 4 guys and was just done with the shit. And he was like, I'm going to play this riff. He either gets it, he's going to be on, or he's not. And it was the first thing he threw out. And luckily, I stayed on. And but it's a tricky song, man. So if we do that album again in its entirety, I'm going to have to do some homework for sure.
So that was your audition was quick. It was basically, can you move 3/4 to 4/4 without a cue? And then you were hit. Was that it?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, there were like 3 or 4 songs I was supposed to learn, and I can't remember. The song's called Pride. I don't know if that song was. I learned the whole album anyway. I was just prepared for any song they threw out, and thank God, because they threw out. Obviously, Sean threw out Pride like from the get-go. Like, are you going to keep up? Let's see, buddy. Let's see what you can do. Yeah. And that's a tricky song. So if we do that song in its entirety. I mean, that album, like I said, I'll have some homework to do.
Mm-hmm. You were like Robert Trujillo coming in saying, hey, want to do Battery? I'm like, oh, I
right.
We were going to do like maybe Seek and Destroy or something. He's like, oh,
exactly.
I don't know if we can play Battery.
Exactly.
So, well, it's a case for being prepared for doing.
Yes.
You did the work. You showed up like any working musician. I don't know how many people on this live stream are musicians or just people in their regular lives, but showing up to that interview prepared, knowing your stuff, doing your homework. And here you are almost 20 years later. None of that happens if you don't walk into that knowing that record backwards and forwards. So
right.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. My guitar player, Corey, he's like, you know, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. You know, it's sort of the, you know, mantra. Because, you know, even doing this last album, Sean had sent us a bunch of demos, songs for us to learn and kind of get prepared, work on parts. And because we were going to track the drums with and it was like 21 songs in 3 or 4 days. So we were going to track like 6 or 7 songs a day. So I had to do my homework even to track this last album. So it's things like that. Yeah, I'm very much I have to prepare. I'm OCD about that stuff, man. I have to do my homework and I have to be prepared. I don't like walking into situations and, no, what are we doing? What's going on? You know, I just, I don't wing it too well, you know? Yeah.
Some people, you know, people are different. There can be, there are personalities that love that.
Yeah.
You know? But if you're coming into an outfit that's already like a machine that's already operating, you know, you better walk in knowing your stuff, and then you can start adding your own flavor after that. But like they don't want, they don't want to be confused when you come in.
Yeah. A lot of guys can improvise on the spot, and I can appreciate that. And I think there's definitely music styles and bands, I mean, maybe that fits better with, but I feel, especially with Seether, you know, you want those parts solid, and I just like to know, you know, kind of my situation.
And you were normally playing like one in every 3 nights a year, or whatever. A third of the year you'd be playing a show, and now you're rusty. We're all rusty. So, how do you want? And I always had the theory as a performer, as an actor, and as a musician, well, that like 1 hour of practice at home is you can get the same amount in 20 minutes on stage. Getting a feedback. Hold on. Is that mine? Hold on. Maybe it's down somewhere. But so you would have to do a lot of rehearsing to catch up with yourself, because that audience pressure, I think, jacks up whatever you're rehearsing. It just sinks deeper into your bones when you have people watching you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one, like you said, one live show is like 5 rehearsals or something, and so. But again, I guess having my kids, man, it's great inspiration. I mean, when you have a 21-year-old in the music room just shredding, and you walk in there going, okay, now what did you just do? Show me what you just do. You know, what you just did. That kind of, it's inspiring. It's you know, and again, like I said, the music is, especially with these bands, it's a physical thing, and I like to have that release, let that emotion out, and I get angsty if I don't have it. So I've tried to keep the chops up, and things are looking to slowly ramp up. We're talking about shows at the end of July, August, September. So it's like coming back fast. You know, all kinds of things are starting to happen, and I've got to get in shape. So I'm trying to get in there and woodshed and really get caught up, you know.
This is where air drumming can be your friend, because any time of day or night you can air drum, and as sorry, I'm going to try to back away from that door, see if that stops the feedback. As the trainer says in Adventures of Power, air drumming is a double workout, because which is true, as the Guinness World Record holder, I can attest this, that when you don't have anything to bounce off of, so you have to use double muscle power to bounce up. And so, like, when I drum, I can drum, you know, for a long time and not get tired. But if I'm air drumming, I'm wiped out in 10 minutes. If I'm doing like full bore, you know, like double bass drum, and you know, you can really jack up your workout if you take the drums away. It's the same.
Absolutely, man. And for years, my wife and I, we lived in apartments, you know, we had a house, smaller house, just didn't have even a music room or a place to set up my drums. So to work on music, to prepare for the studio, maybe for a tour, I would have to air drum, listen to music, and practice just, you know, air drumming or patting on my legs or what have you. And I can work up a sweat air drumming. Absolutely. I can do it. And I still do it. I still do it. You know, it's sort of habit. I listen to a song and I kind of listen to what's going on, and I'm trying to work it out in my mind. And next thing I know, my arms are going, my feet are going, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever had any dealings with Musicares, the Grammy organization that we're supporting with the movie? I don't know if you've known people who've been rescued by it, but for those who don't know, Adventures of Power and the Modern Drummer connection, where we are raising money for Musicares, which is supporting musicians in need, which is really, especially right now with so much, you know, gigage having vanished over the last year and change. There's a lot of people hurting, and so I just want everyone to know that anyone who watches Adventures of Power on Amazon Prime, even though it's free on Amazon Prime, we get a little money and we send it over to Musicares. So please,
that's awesome.
Write a nice review if you feel so inclined, and that helps people hear about the movie, but it also helps Musicares. So I know people whose lives have literally been saved, you know, in their you know, getting clean programs, and so it's a beautiful thing. So
yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome.
So I think we'll wrap up, but I'd love to just give you an opportunity to shout out to anything that you care about on planet Earth or in music that you feel that we haven't talked about. Is there anything you want to say now that you have all of our attention?
Just thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. I enjoy talking to you guys. And again, it's the power of music, this, you know, thing. We've just met, and so many things that we've shared experiences in our childhood or music, talking about Tom Sawyer or how we got into drumming or how I got into drumming. It's the beauty of music, man. It's my solace. It's you know, I listen to it. I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have it in my life. I don't know what would have happened to me if I hadn't gotten into music. I have no idea. I wasn't cut out for 9 to 5, and you know, I honestly, I don't know what would have happened to me. Music saved my life in so many ways, and it's wonderful to see my children get caught up into it and get bit by that bug and just have a talent for it and a passion for it. And it makes me feel proud that I guess it's in the genes somewhere. It's really legit. And my kids have gotten it, and music's a powerful thing. And it's gotten me through this last year. And I'm very blessed, man, to have the band that I'm with and both bands, and to be able to play music for a living and do this. And I know a lot of us, it's been a tough time this last, you know, year and a half, this last year, but I'm very hopeful that shows are on their way back, and we can all once again commune and you know, share music live and experience that all together, you know? Yeah,
indeed. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. And those who want to watch the movie, in general, you can go to airdrummer.com, and there's links to watch it, and also to watch all the other interviews that we've done with other wonderful people. And anyone who wants to watch it right now with us, we're doing a watch party on Amazon Prime. So if you go to adventurestopower.com/Prime, that'll go to a watch party thing, and then I will hit play on my end, and then everyone watches it together. It's sort of a silly digital thing, but that's going to happen. So thank you.
Good movie for the tour bus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, say hello to Oklahoma, where I've never been.
Great.
I've just flown over it, right?
I hear it's flat.
It's very flat. It's very flat, but
Ethan and I grew up in San Francisco, so like anything less than a hill like this seemed like, you know. So
it's awesome. There's a lot of great people here, and we love music, man. A lot of especially rock music, and we always loved
asking an Oklahoma question, because I always felt like it has a little bit of Texas and it has a little bit of you know, the central, like the heartland thing.
Right.
And do you feel both of those things there, or is it really more heartlandy? Do you feel the you know, influence of your southern neighbor?
Yeah, I think definitely there's also, obviously we're known for country music, right? You know, huge country artists from here and Garth Brooks, but you know, there's a lot of talent here, always has been, you know. Eric Clapton's band from in the 70s, Leon Russell, you know, from Oklahoma, they were from Tulsa, Eric Clapton's band, you know.
Flaming Lips.
The Flaming Lips, absolutely, exactly. Always been talent and not just country music. And we're right on the crossroads, you know, of 35 and I-40. And when I was a kid, all the concerts used to come through here, and a lot of great shows. And that's kind of a cool thing. And we've always supported music. And yeah, Oklahoma's great, man. Great people and a good place to live and to grow up.
Are Rival Sons Oklahoma?
Rival Sons? I don't think so.
North.
Kings of Leon are from here.
We can't hear you, Ethan.
Oh, I'm muting because I think that was causing the feedback. So I'm muting half of my words. Anyway, John, it's been great. Oh, okay. So well, I gave a shout out to a Long Beach band, I guess, or something. But anyway, John, it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you. Yeah,
maybe we'll see you out on the road.
If you're when you're in Los Angeles, you have a free coffee or a tequila shot, your choice.
Okay.
On the beach with a surfboard as a prop.
Nice.
So
I'll take you up on it.
Okay. Well, have a great evening.
You too.
Those who want to watch Adventures of Power, see you there. And, may the rock be with you.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I know it's too late for me to learn to play drums. I can still rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness the new breed of warrior.
Her legs, so white.
Like white tiger.
We felt something today. We need you.
Tonight, we are air drummers. Every one of them.